My parents are from India and from Pakistan, so I am half Indian, half Pakistani, which is a really weird mix in its own. And on top of that, I was born and raised in Romania.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Very well, very well. First of all, thank you so much for accepting my request and joining me and the people that will watch this conversation. So thank you so much and welcome to Stories Heart to Heart.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to start, and thank you for thinking about me for this collaboration. I really appreciate that.
Okay, so can you introduce yourself a little bit for people who don't know you?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Faizah Muhammad. I am born and raised in Timișoara, Romania. But as you can probably tell, my parents are from India and from Pakistan. So I am half Indian, half Pakistani, which is a really weird mix in its own. And on top of that, I was born and raised in Romania. So, that's my nationality when it comes to picking and choosing which countries I belong to. That's also up there. And I'm actually an astrophysics student right now. I'm completing my master's degree. But during this time of studying, I've started publishing my own books. So I'm an author and I'm also a filmmaker on the side. I know there's a weird mix of things going on there, but I never really knew if I was able to pick just one profession or just one job. So I do a bunch of different things. And so far, I'm really enjoying doing a few things that might be different and not connected at all. But yeah, that's pretty much who I am and what I do.
Actually, I understand you because I also have a lot of hobbies and I'm just I don't know what to do, what to choose. A lot of hobbies, like you said. So yeah, I can understand
Yeah.
it. Tell us a little bit about your connection to India and what impact it had on your personality and even your life. Do you think Indian culture has influenced you in any way?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm half Indian, half Pakistani, which is a really weird mix, and I think I had the best of both cultures. So I got to experience a little bit from, both sides of my parents' countries. Um the thing with Indian culture and Pakistani culture is that they're really, really similar in a lot of ways. So when it comes to food or when it comes to dressing and a lot of the things, even our languages, so many things are really, really similar. So I always grew up in a multicultural household. Having grown up in Romania as well, I had multiple cultures going on. Like I always had so many different perspectives on things, so many different kinds of people. And because my mom is Indian, one of the biggest impacts obviously was from the Indian culture as well. And, I've said this before, my mum's my best friend, and I'm probably the closest to her than anyone else in the world. And having to like hear her stories about India and her, the things that she experienced there and what life was like when she was little, and even now hearing some of the things that goes on in India and the cultural side, because I've never been to India or to Pakistan. So all of the perspectives that I have are directly just from my parents and from our family, just from things that I've heard. And I think my mom having to like teach me and my sister, she always insisted that me and my sisters learned our language and we were connected to the culture and that we knew. And now growing up, I realized that what she did was a really good thing because she wanted to teach us about her culture as well. And she also insisted that we learn, obviously, Romanian, because you live in Romania, you can't not learn Romanian. But a lot of people now, when I meet fellow second generation immigrants who live in Europe and they have family from India or from Pakistan, a lot of them don't speak the languages and a lot of them are not that connected with their culture. They don't know much about tradition or food or things that are a part of my everyday life, and I couldn't imagine my life without them. And now I think that my mom did a really good thing teaching us the languages and keeping us just like teaching us so many things about her way of life and things, because I can't imagine having to be one of those people that doesn't speak these languages or doesn't resonate with the cultural aspects of the countries of my parents. Like I just can't imagine that. So yeah, it's definitely played a huge role, and again, I couldn't see myself being me without them.
Okay, so you have never been to India or Pakistan until now. This is interesting, actually, you know?
No. Oh yeah, everyone finds that quite weird. Like, oh, you've never been? No, I haven't been. Yeah, I've never been to either countries, but I would like to visit.
Oh, that's a good thing. You know, I was always curious about both of the countries, India and Pakistan, because, as you said, there are some similarities, but differences too. And you know, it's a little bit interesting. I mean, I don't know much about Pakistan because I am always more focused on India because of my work, let's say like this, that I am doing with actors.
Yeah.
But from history, I mean, you know, I know a little bit some things. So yeah, it's interesting that you have never been there. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is a weird not weird. The weird would be the wrong word. I think it's interesting, definitely, interesting having to have things from just both countries and learning about the cultural sides of both countries. And I think a lot of times it's also a bit difficult because I meet with fellow Indian people and I tell them, oh, I'm actually half Pakistani, and you just see their faces changing and they're just like, oh, okay, you're not 100% Indian. And that sometimes that does play a role in the way that I talk to other Indian people and stuff, and I'm wondering, should I tell them that I'm actually half Pakistani as well? And when I talk to Pakistani people, I luckily I haven't had that kind of a that the reserve thing, like they weren't that reserved towards me telling them that I'm half Indian. But I think on the Indian side of things, it is a little bit more tricky. I don't think that they're as accepting as the Pakistani community, and that's just my experience. That might be different for other people, but in my experience, I've definitely felt more warmth and more support from the Pakistani community than I have from the Indian one.
yeah, I know about the differences between these countries, and it's also reflected on television and films and Bollywood. You know,
Oh
I
yeah.
remember I saw a film. I think it's what was the name? Razi. Yeah, with Alia Bhatt
Yeah.
and oh my gosh, what a film it was. So yeah, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So we talk about culture and everything, but how close are you to Indian culture? I mean, do you listen to Indian music or watch
How
movies?
close am I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My sister and I, we love watching Indian films. We are obsessed with anything to do with Shah Rukh Khan. I've watched every single one of his films, and I think every single brown kid, whether you're from India, whether you're from Pakistan, whether you're from any other place, if you have a little bit of brown heritage, there is no way that you have not watched every single one of this man's films. And I think, like, for me and my sister, we love watching I don't know if you've watched Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my favorite of all time Indian film. And we watch a lot of Indian films, definitely. That's like one of the things. Indian songs as well. I found a video of myself from when I was a kid. I think I was like 2 or 3, and I was dancing again to a Shah Rukh Khan song from one of his films. And I was like, yeah, nothing's changed. Things stay the exact same. We don't really change much. But yeah, again, I think seeing when I was little, seeing watching films and watching Hollywood films and watching TV and stuff, I never really felt very represented in Western media. So for me, watching Bollywood films and watching, listening to Bollywood songs and having a little bit of representation, even though I do feel like Bollywood can definitely do better with representation because they're not really that good with a lot of things. There's a lot of colorism in India. There's a lot of racism between each other in India as well. And from that side of things, they can definitely do better. But when you're a kid, for me, it was like, oh my God, there's brown people on screen. We can do this as well. It's not just uh, it's not reserved just for the same kind of people that I keep seeing again and again in Hollywood. And I think as someone that wants to have a career in cinema long term, that definitely had an impact on the way that I viewed myself on screen as well. If I would have to resonate with something and I would have to find something relatable, if that makes sense. So I do feel quite a closeness to it. I feel a warmth towards it, and I definitely feel nostalgic as well when I listen to the 90s Bollywood songs and the early 2000s songs that I grew up with.
Yeah, Shah Rukh Khan is the king, everyone knows him. I mean, in India, you just
Yeah,
can,
he's
I
the
mean,
king.
it's super, super popular. I mean, yeah, you don't.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's anyone that's not seen at least one film from him.
He's a good actor, and I also like him. He's one of my favorites, but I am more with Amir Khan. I have no idea. Just his films feel different. It's just close.
Yeah,
I can say like this, so I feel different.
yeah,
Even if now I am also watching, TV shows, so I can watch them, they are everywhere on YouTube, on sites, on, yeah, it's very easy.
yeah.
hmm What can you tell us about your experience of Romania? I mean, about food, about music, people, Romania in general. What do you think about this country?
Oh, I love, like I said, I love having grown up in a multicultural household and having such strong ties to my parents' countries, but also to Romania. I I feel like a strong connection to Romania. I uh after like when I was a kid, I think it took a really long time for me to accept every single part of my nationalities and my ethnicities and everything, and accept that actually all of them are part of who I am. I can't just pick and choose just one country because it doesn't work like that. You can't just label yourself, and I think that's something that so many people don't understand. And with Romania, I think the most like strongest cultural thing that I have with Romania is in literature, in food, and obviously with when I grew up in Romania as a kid. The childhood that I had is the same childhood that so many other Romanian kids had, but I learned different things from them, and they learned different things from me because of my parents and because of the other cultural differences that were there. But I love Romanian food. My mom cooks Romanian food very often. She cooks Indian food most of the time, or actually, should I say, actually, she makes Pakistani food more often because Indian food is more on the vegetarian side. Pakistani food has a mix of meat as well. So we have a good mix of both, cuisines. And then when we have like guests coming over, or when there's a festival or a celebration or something, we have Romanian food as well, and that's always great. Um, I when I was young, I used to have a Romanian nanny as well, so she used to cook sarmale, she used to cook mamaliga, she used to cook, all of these typical dishes, and I grew up with these things, and they are inevitably a part of me. No matter how much no matter how far away I'll go, I think home for me is always going to be Romania. And that's a really weird sentiment to have because, with having family in other countries and having visited so many countries and living abroad and all that. But to me, when I think of home, it's always going to be my home in Romania. And I've always loved Romanian culture. I've always loved Romanian history. It's why I wrote a book about the Timișoara and about Romania. And I feel a really strong connection to Romania, to be honest. That's like, for me, that's home, and no matter where I go, that's always going to be home.
Nah, yeah, this is so nice. This is cute. Okay, now this will be a question. I think everyone deals with it sometimes at a time. So, how do you deal with hate online? Because as I
Yeah,
already said, I don't think there is a person who hasn't experienced hate at least once in their lives. So how do you hate?
yeah.
How do you deal with it?
Um, it's really difficult because when I was a kid, I didn't ever think that people that say hateful things, I didn't think that people like this existed because no, none of the people that I grew up with were these kind of people. And I think to some extent that made me a really lucky person, because the people that I grew up with in Romania around me, none of them were the kind of people that would tell you to go back to your country, or to tell you that oh, we don't want, immigrants in our country, and make a big deal about something like a person of color being in their house or things like that. None of these people were these kind of closed minded trolls. None of these people were like that. So for me, my impression of Romania and my impression of um, just the childhood that I had in Romania was very much a loving one. So I never had these kind of experiences in reality. So I didn't have, I can't, even if I sit down and I try to think really, really hard, I don't think that I can remember even one experience where I would say that, oh, I was a kid and this was a really bad thing, that someone was really hateful towards me, and they were doing all of these things that now trolls online do, because the world has changed. Things happen more on the media, on social media. That's mainly the place where you're going to see these kind of things. But when I was a kid, social media wasn't a thing. And back then, I didn't, I grew up with like elderly Romanian people who had probably never met a person of color in their life, but they were really kind because they understood the fact that humanity is probably bigger than ethnicities and race and all of these other things, and borders and things that separate us from each other. And I had a really great time with these people because they just saw another person. They didn't care about any other thing. And, when I was a kid, I remember that whenever I would tell people that my parents are from India or Pakistan, they would always say, oh, did you watch O Floare și Doi Grădinari? Or do you know about this film? And they would love talking about Bollywood. They would love talking about culture. They would always say, oh, we want henna on our hands. And they would come to our house and we would, do henna for them. Or sometimes my mom would bring clothes that were, in traditional Indian clothing, and she would give it to some of her friends. And they were really interested in culture, not in a negative way, but they were genuinely in love with what Indian culture represents internationally. And now, having to become a public figure because I'm talking about my books and my films and stuff online, it's a completely different impact and a completely different side of Romania that I'm seeing. And I always say this, that this is obviously, there's a kind of a fascist wave that's come over Europe. And to me, it's almost ironic because most Romanians have family or know people who are living abroad and are, who moved away for a different life. And seeing those same people become, online trolls and give hate to someone for simply existing, and just because I have more melanin in my skin than you do, it just feels like such a stupid thing, especially because I know what the actual Romanian people, what and I talk about Romania because that's mainly the one that I can talk about when it comes to experiences with racism. But having to see someone from Romania, knowing their history, knowing the kind of real people that they are when you meet them face to face, and also knowing the fact that so many Romanians have left their country for a better life, and have left and gone to a different country. It's obviously, I need to put some rationality behind it, understand that these trolls do not represent Romania. My view of the real, life in Romania and the real society and the love and the stuff that I felt, I cannot deny any of that and just let this become reality. I think for me, it is difficult sometimes on some days because the trolls and the hate and all that stuff becomes more than the good things, and they start bombing you with comments and DMs. And recently I also received a threat that, oh, if I see you, I'm going to do something to you if I see you in real life. So I had to report that. And things like that, it makes you a little bit scared, but I do try and put some rationality behind it, because at the end of the day, these people are trolls who hide behind secret accounts, fake accounts. I don't even know how many of them are actually Romanians or just people who are trying to influence others, to make them think that, oh, we're supposed to hate immigrants, we're supposed to hate brown people. Um, and yeah, I'm sorry that I've said a lot on this topic. I've probably answered like a lot, but I have so much to say about this because it happens so often, and I'm just not one. I mean, honestly, I'm not the kind of person that can shut up. Sometimes I think I can be so mean back to these people. Like I can say so many things, and Honestly, some of it I say it out loud and I laugh about it. I'm just like, I could say this, but I'm not because I need to be the bigger person. But yeah, it is difficult, but putting some balance and putting some perspective, it is very important because I know that most Romanians are not like that. Most people in real life that I have come across, at least, are not like that. They don't share these racist views. They don't have these kind of closed thoughts. They're not that kind of people. They're actually very accepting, and that's the kind of people that I like to think about. And to me, that's the ones that also represent the Romania that I know.
Yeah, I know because I experienced both of types, of
Yeah,
Romanian people, so I know, yeah, what you are talking about. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we spoke about your book a little bit, so let's talk about it. Tell us a little bit more about the book you published.
The book I published. So it's set in 1989 Romania, first of all. To For those who don't know, 1989 was the year when the communist dictatorship ended in Romania, and I was born and raised in Timișoara, which is the place where the revolution started. So for me, I grew up hearing these stories all the time from people that were living near me, from people that were my teachers, my professors, and so on. Like, I heard so many stories about that time. And when I moved to the UK, there was a time period in which I was really homesick, so I missed Romania like crazy. And that's kind of when I started thinking about writing this book. A lot of different things happened. I actually dreamt this story. It came to me in a dream. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to put this on paper because I'm going to take this as a sign that I'm supposed to write this book. And that's when I started researching things, and I found out some things about Timișoara and about Romania, things that I never learned at school, things that when I would bring up in conversation with my friends or other people in Romania, they wouldn't know about it. And I was just like, okay, why don't we know about these things? Why aren't we talking about these things? And I thought that in the medium of a historical fiction novel, a story like that was worth telling because there are so many victims that to this day they were murdered during the revolution, people that are still not identified, people that still haven't received closure. And I felt really strongly about that, having been from Timișoara. That was just like that. I felt like, oh my God, this is the same place where I'm from. And there are people that went through this and no one did anything for them. No one gave them justice. And nowadays, there's not even one thing in the Timișoara city center that would say, okay, this is how we honor our heroes, this is how we remember them. And the way that I could do it, because I like writing, the only way that I could express this frustration, but also my love for Romania, the fact that I was missing home, was through writing. And that's how I wrote the book. I'm happy to say that we are developing it into a film as well. And, I'm really excited to see how it's going to be visually as well, how all of these things are going to come to life when people see it on the screen. But yeah, this has been like one of the projects that to me has been the closest to my heart. Like, for me, this is the most personal thing that I did. There's just so many things in the book that I could talk about all day that represent something really meaningful to me and mean something completely different to the readers. And I've been listening to the readers' theories as well about some of the things that happen, and it's just been really great overall. Like, I really am glad that I decided to write this book. It's probably like the best decision that I've ever made.
Where and when can we watch this film?
Oh, when can you watch it? So we are still in development phases. The good thing is that we want to make this a personal project because it started out as a personal project. We want to continue making it that way. We don't really, I didn't want my film to be taken by a big Hollywood production and then they do whatever they want with it and it's not even accurate. I just didn't want that. Which is why I decided to do things independently. So with indie film, uh it takes a bit longer than other films. We are still developing things, we're still in the pre-production stage. But there is one good thing, that if people want to come to the film premiere and they also want to help us, we have set up a GoFundMe page so that people who want to come to a film premiere, they can donate however much they want towards the film, so that they're also helping us so we can get through development phases quicker. But it doesn't matter whether you can afford £1 or £10. There's people that have done really generous donations, but even if you donate something little, you're gonna get invited to the film premiere and or to an early screening of the film, and we're also going to send you exclusive merchandise and updates and things like that, which is really exciting to see. And I'm all about having a community that I know cares about the story, instead of just having a big blockbuster type of film that's just, oh, here's, a budget of 500 million and let's just put it in cinemas, but it's actually not a film that anyone cares about. I'm really, I want to find the right audience for this film, and I also want to connect with people who believe in the story as much as I do, because that means so much to me.
Yeah, I think it's better. Or yeah, I also think this. Yes. Okay, so I'll watch it. I'll go and see what's going on with this film, and it will be finished. I mean, yeah. So can't wait to see it. You know, or you don't know, I don't know. But when I was interviewing an actress, we talked, about a lot of things about Bollywood, about her shows and everything. And she asked me in a moment, she was like, okay, so you like India, everything alright, yeah, very cute, very nice. But are you Indian or Romanian? She asked me like this. And now I can ask you, are you feeling Indian or Romanian? What is
Wow. I am a bit, I am a bit of everything. So I am not just Indian or Romanian. I'm also Pakistani. So that's like one of the identities that I would also want to say about. I am a mix of all of these things, and I think if I was just someone that was, Faizah who was just Indian, or Faizah who was just Romanian, or Faizah who was just Pakistani. If you just put these as three separate people, I don't think that they would be nearly as great as what a mix of them is like. And that's why, I was telling you that it took me a really long time to come to terms with the fact that all of these identities make up who I am. And now I can say that I'm in a place where I can say that I'm proud of all of the things that make me who I am. I am Romanian, I am Indian, and I'm also Pakistani. And anyone who disagrees or has something to say about that can talk to a wall, because to me it's I took a long time for me to come to terms with this, and now I can say that I am probably really grateful and really blessed that I've had such a great multicultural experience in my life. It's made me a whole more interesting person, I can say, and it's made me different to other people, and it's helped me gain a lot of things instead of losing things. So I am all of these things, and I will always be connected to all of these three countries. I was born in Romania, so I'm always going to have ties to Romania. My parents are from India and Pakistan. That's always going to be part of me, and all of these things will always make up who I am. There's no changing that. There's no denying that. And the only thing that I can say is that I will continue wearing these like a badge of pride.
yeah, I was thinking about this also. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what I was telling, to that person, and something similar like this. I was, no, I'm like Romanian, I'm Indian,
Yeah.
I feel both, I'm close. I mean, yeah.
Have received this question before. I've had, there's people that ask me, oh, and usually it's, oh, do you think you're more Indian or do you think you're more Pakistani? And I'm just like, I can't pick, like, I can't split myself in half and pick how much of which I am. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm also Romanian, by the way, because I was born and raised there, and I am always going to have the same cultural upbringing and the same, I was affected by the same things as any other Romanian person would have been, having lived there. And I think I know some people, they really try and put themselves in boxes and label themselves and say that actually I'm more this or I'm more that, or they try and put labels on things, and people try and put labels on other people as well. So they're always going to be like, okay, what do I call this person? What are they? But I think there's no word for it. There's no label for it. I'm just all of the above, and I'm going to tick all of the boxes, and I'm glad to say that I've had only good things from all of them.
Yes, yes, yes. That's true. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for being here and for spending your time with me and with the people that are watching this or will
Thank
watch
you
it.
for having me. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I had a really good time talking to you today.
It was lovely talking to you, and this is a very interesting conversation. So, thank you so much again.
Thank you.